Well, hi, folks. This is Darren with My RV Works. I want to welcome you to another session with 10 Minutes with an RV Tech. This is an opportunity we put out on our YouTube channel where folks with questions specific to their RV repair have an opportunity to ask a real live technician for maybe some tips or tricks or something like that, like what would Darren do kind of stuff. So that's the nature of this. I don't have all the answers, but it might help you. So if you like this kind of content, you feel it might add value to you, subscribe to our channel, click the bell, you'll get a notification. And certainly share it with your friends if you feel it might help them as well. So without any further ado, let's jump right into some of the questions that some of our followers have asked. Well, Byron's got a question. Now, Byron has an older Holiday Rambler Vacationer RV. It's a 1997. Now, he's had the unit for 3 years, and he hasn't had a problem with any of his circuit breakers, but all of a sudden, he's telling us in his question, the circuit breaker keeps tripping off every time he tries to load that circuit. So, Byron, what I want you to do, or anybody with these problems, let's help to see if we can troubleshoot that with you. My first gut reaction is you have a short to ground, but we need to prove that. We need to follow the trail. So the first thing I want you to do, here, Dakota, I'll trade you. I'll give you my notes, and I'll take the meter. Thank you. Okay, so what we need you to do, disconnect your coach from shore power, turn off your generator, make the thing dead in the water. You can leave your battery connected, but we want to take it off of the AC power. With it disconnected from the AC power, I want you to take the wire that is attached to that circuit breaker. I want you to take that wire off, okay? Then using your meter, I'm using a Fluke 325, but a digital multimeter, you're gonna go into continuity mode. Now, am I in the shot, Dakota? Can you see my meter here? Okay, so continuity mode is gonna be the beep, 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 or it might even have the omega, the horseshoe looking deal. So you're gonna go in the beep, beep, beep mode, and you can look down here, OL means open loop, okay? And when you touch your two leads together, you'll hear it beep. See that? Okay, now it's not enough just to hear it beep, you also need to look at the display, okay? When you look at the display when you're touching it together. When the meter is in that mode, what I want you to do is I want you to take your red lead and touch it to the wire that you just took off that circuit breaker. Now all the power is off, you've unplugged it from everything, and the generator is off. So it's just a piece of wire right now, it's not energized. When you take the red wire and hold it on to that black wire that you just took out of your breaker, I want you to take the black lead, and I want you to touch it to the neutral bus bar, and that's where all the white neutral wires are screwed to, okay? And I want you to see if there's any continuity on your meter. It's gonna show 0 ohms, or there's gonna be a value there. In a correct circuit, it's going to still say OL, open loop, in a correct circuit. If you get a beep or you get a value down here, that means that the white wire and the black wire are touching somewhere. Now, a resistance value that's pretty high, depending on the number, that doesn't really concern me. That might be induction going through a motor winding or something like that, but we usually don't find that too much in RVs. Not too much, but it could, you get a very high value. But if it shows 0, then you have a direct short where that black and that white wire are touching each other somewhere in the RV. But we're not done with our test yet. Still holding the red lead on the black wire. Now I want you to move your black lead from the neutral to the ground. In an RV, now this is different from a house. In an RV, your neutral and your ground should be totally separate. They should not be bonded. Your neutral and your ground should not be bonded in an RV. In a house, they are bonded. In an RV, they are not bonded. Well, Darren, where does the bond take place? The bond takes place back at the point of origin of your electricity. If it's at your house, it's at your breaker box where they drive that ground rod into the ground 6 feet. That's where the ground and the neutral get bonded, not in your RV. So that's why I want you to test this on the black wire that you disconnected, and then test it on the neutral, test it on the ground. If you get a value here that shows continuity, that those wires are touching each other, you have a dead short. I have another meter. I don't have it with me because I'm out camping. But this is my everyday carry. I go everywhere with this. No, halfway joking. Another meter is a Fluke. I think it's a TS90. We'll make a link to that down below. I use that meter. I will connect it to the black and the white, for example, and it'll tell me how far in wire distance that short is, okay? Now, one more thing to mention, a circuit breaker. I had an electrician explain this to me one time. It makes perfect sense. So I'll share this with you, and then that'll be the end of this my thought on this. But a circuit breaker is designed to fail one time. Okay? And you're like, wait a minute, I can reset it as many times as I need to every time it trips. Well, that is a correct statement. But let's say I'm a manufacturer of circuit breakers and I sell you a circuit breaker and then it trips. At that point, my liability is done. I designed a circuit breaker, it was exposed to too much current, and it tripped off. How do I know as a manufacturer what that circuit breaker was exposed to that caused it to trip? You may have damaged my circuit breaker. So yes, you could reset them all the time that you need to, but just as a little side note, if your circuit breaker keeps re-tripping, you might want to replace your circuit breaker. They get weak over time, and you may have fatigued the circuit breaker with it tripping as many times as it has. Okay? For the manufacturer, they only need to make sure it trips that first time. After that, it's a nice thing that they add on to reset it. So I want to share that with you. So take your wire off, check your continuity, and see if you have a short to ground. All right. Thanks for your question, Byron. Our next question is coming from Rob, and it involves his air conditioner. Now, he states that when he turns his air conditioner on, the fan blows and the compressor tries to start, but when the compressor tries to start, it's tripping the breaker, and he's getting a reading of 48 volts, which is kind of very low. It's supposed to be 120 volts, not 48 volts. So he's already replaced both capacitors, which was a good thing that I would have done first also, is check the capacitors. But he's already replaced the capacitors, and it's doing the same exact thing. So any suggestions? And so I did a refrigerator video, an air conditioner. Did I say refrigerator to start with? I have dyslexia, guys, and I get these things mixed up. Trust me, I'm an RV technician. I'll work on your refrigerator. Oh, wait, air conditioner? Okay. All right. Anyway, air conditioner, the thing up on the roof, keeps you cold. Gain access to the compressor screws up on the top. So you're going to take the cover off, and you're going to see this little cover. Take that cover off, and you're going to see 3 little screws sticking up. Let me draw a picture. Okay, here we go. So when you get your compressor, you're going to have 3 screws sticking up. And if you look carefully, it's going to say S, C, and R. So this is your start, run, and common. Okay? Now, you need to do your meter. You need to put your meter in continuity mode, and you need to verify that you're going to get a reading between it. So there's a coil between start and common. There's a coil between run and common. So what I need you to do with your meter is check the continuity between the S and the C and write that down. I'm going to come up with a number 5, okay? I don't even know if that's even close to number, but for mathematical purposes, go with me on this. And then I want you to take your meter, this is on top of your compressor, and check it from the run and the common, and let's say you get 2, okay? Okay? So in this one you got a 5, this one you got a 2. Then I want you to take your meter and go from start to run. 5 plus 2 equals, Dakota, what's 5 plus 2? 97? 18? 5 plus 2?
7.
7, okay. So 7. You add up your S and your R, whatever that number is. You add to that your run and your common, and these two numbers you add together. And what you've just done is you've done a triangulational math puzzle. If this equals these two, then your compressor is fine. The next thing you need to do, it doesn't matter the order you do this in, is check each one of these screws. Make sure you get a good ground. Scrape some of the paint off to get a good ground. See if they're shorted to ground. It may be that your compressor is bad, but this is how I check the compressor to see if the compressor is good. Okay? There's also, I don't remember if it's start or run. You're going to have this thing called, don't make me a liar, it's got initials. PTCR, PTRC, something like that. When it's not running, you should have continuity between this. RV techs are going to rag me for this, but it's either a PTCR, PTRC, something like that. But basically, it's going to be on the blue wire. You want continuity between that. So these are some things you could check on your compressor, on your air conditioner. If it turns out that any of these tests fail, I don't know of a solution to fix that in the field. You would be replacing your entire air conditioner at that point. Okay? Now, I got all these notes here. So hopefully that helps you. If it does, leave us a comment below, and thanks for watching. Well, folks, that's all the time I have for today to answer some of your questions, but feel free to leave comments below if you have questions specific to your RV repair. If this was valuable to you, give us a thumb up, like it, subscribe to our channel, share it with some friends. So, until our next session, this is Darren with My RV Works, signing off. See you on the next video.